A question. Who are these people who govern us, create war, murder, and earthly destruction with our DMV fees, bridge tolls, income tax, Social Security money, etc., etc.? What will it take to convince them that they can really profit from restoring our earth, growing marijuana everywhere, stopping global warming and the need for war, employment, not imprisonment, instead of doing what they're doing? Many people say using our taxpayers' money for putting people to work, restoring our earth, is socialistic. I believe that funding defense and all of the banks and all of the rest of the people that are taking our money instead of helping people is socialistic. 2 planes, fighter planes, have flown over Laytonville for the last week and a half or more. Many years ago, it cost $75,000 each just to warm them up. I believe their presence is a warning that we are going to start another war. A woman said to me the other day that one way to stop the world's problems is to stop having babies. I believe I would rather have babies any time than bombers are contributing $1.6 trillion to defense. I go to Creech Air Force Base by Las Vegas twice a year. It's one of our drone training and operating centers, and I demonstrate with Code Pink and others against drone operations. It's exciting, gives us a chance to say what we want to say. One police officer came up to me and told me, because of my shirt, that I had the option of taking a pharmaceutical marijuana that didn't have any side effects like making me feel good. And I mentioned to him that it wasn't his job to make sure that I felt low. It was his job to give us jobs, clean air, food, and water. I should be able to do any drug I wanted as a free person in this country, walking down the streets of Las Vegas, instead of having to do jail time for the very same thing. My name is Pamela Elizondo. I've been campaigning for office in this district since 1986. I campaigned for state senate twice. I campaigned for state assembly 4 times, and a representative to Congress 5 times, and last year I campaigned for U.S. Senate. And I finally came to realize that I could start saving the earth and its inhabitants purely by running for supervisor, 3rd District in Mendocino County, creating jobs and using the money that our representatives presently are pretty much wasting to help clean the air, food, and water, and provide mass employment, not imprisonment. I believe that our government's job is to put people to work and use our tax dollars only for saving the earth and inhabitants, to stop global warming and the need for war, rather than trying to figure out ways to make us pay and pay and pay to keep them happy and their big money people happy. I believe we should put people to work instead of creating new highways and new bridges, like the $16 billion highway at the end of the Golden Gate Bridge, destroying that area of San Francisco instead of putting people to work. I think that we should not have to pay DMV fees like we have to, and I believe that when a person uses Medi-Cal after the age of 55, when they have to get on disability, which is incredibly difficult to get on, and then they have to give up their home that they worked their whole life for because they had to use Medi-Cal, is a sin against the people. There's so many ways that we have to keep paying and paying. One way is we pay taxes for them to create broadband because they want to, the government and other people want to get information to our coastline. We have telephone lines established that go to our coastline already and destroyed huge amounts of land to get there. And we also have satellites that cost us huge amounts of money to get our information to us. We shouldn't have to dig great deep holes in the ground, hundreds and hundreds, 800 miles and more at a time, to create information. We've got enough information providing mechanisms. I think it's time for us to divert all of that money to putting people to work, restoring our earth. Here's a few jobs that I think we should create if I get to be supervisor of 3rd District. And I believe that one of the things at the hometown shopper that I get in my mail every week, about a month and a half ago, had on their back pages money that Ukiah has had, the city of Ukiah has had salted away for a long time. And one of them mentioned that they have over $14 million that they're hanging on to for whatever is going to happen. I believe that money could be used to put people to work restoring our earth. We pay at least $8.5 million to keep our courthouse going, and at least $9 million to keep our jail going. And the jailhouse makes $1.5 million at least on the phone calls and the little store that they have, which is very difficult for many of our poor people who are in jail and don't have jobs. My son got busted for driving without a license over and over, even though he's paid for his classes over and over. And they took him into jail, and they're charging him $150 to pay for the paperwork. They're charging him $150 for another thing, $200 for another thing, and making him go to 52 classes on how to learn how to relate. And they won't give him a driver's license so he can have a job. They won't give him welfare because he has been a felon. They won't give him any of the benefits, but they'll throw him in jail and make hundreds of thousands of dollars off of him to run the courthouse and the jail. I think we should use the courthouse and the jail as employment centers where we put people to work restoring our earth and give them a decent wage. If we pay people $15 an hour for a 30-hour work week and give them a $300 a month living stipend, it comes to $27,000 a year, which is less than half what we supposedly pay $62,000 a year to keep a person in prison. We could put almost 2.5 people to work a year so that they could pay for their houses and their cars and all of the stuff that our government wants to sell us. I suggest we start doing that right away. I'm going to a supervisors meeting next month in December, and I'm going to suggest that they start creating these jobs as of the 1st of January so that we can start profiting hugely by putting people to work. And we can use this method as a way of literally saving the earth and its inhabitants. We can become really a famous Mendocino County, and it will be a wonderful thing for our people. The jobs to create. The first job that we should create is our banks are not allowed to take in marijuana money. And they're going to start filing against them if they do. So I suggest we create a credit union, starting with the $14 million that Ukiah is salting away, to help people start going out to the landowners, the wineries, particularly here in this district, and every other produce creator in this district, and allow them to take out loans, very, very low interest loans, and insured, so that if they're not able to pay it back because their produce, what they're producing hasn't come in yet. And that's one thing that we should do, is create loans for people to start growing marijuana everywhere. Another thing we should do is we should get grant procurers and have them start working on calling the government and establishing grants for people to do the same thing, to grow marijuana everywhere. We should do, and then we should have people working to go out and get the land to grow on. Those are 3 jobs. We should create garbage crews that go out. I have lived in many places around Mendocino County and in Humboldt where the garbage is overwhelming because we live in a garbage society where they don't give us anything it doesn't create garbage for us to throw away. And that is one of the jobs that we can do, is grow marijuana and replace all of the toxic garbage with marijuana products that are non-toxic, so that it not only nourishes the land, but if it goes out to the ocean, the whales can eat it. But we should establish garbage crews to go out and gather up the garbage, to sort the garbage and recycle the garbage, and to bring it in to the dumps. We should create an amnesty day at all of the dumps, or 2 a month, so that people can bring their garbage in and not have to pay for it. It'll clean up our county. Hal Wagonet did a video on Channel 3 stating that he got grants to clean up marijuana dumps. Hal Wagonet had a wonderful idea, and that idea should be extended throughout our garbage recycling facilities here in Mendocino County, so that we can clean up our land and have it be restored and replenished, and we can start growing marijuana there to replenish our air and our food and our water. We should have engineers for creating marijuana products, land and processing plants, and planting machines. We could create a little kind of a bicycle that would go in between the aisles of the wineries and dug a little hole next to each plant and emitted the soil and the necessary ingredients for growing the plants to their fruition. And that would be one thing that we could create. And other people could create many, many other machines made biodegradably that will help in restore our earth. We should contact prisons to create jobs in the prisons growing not only marijuana but all products. And we should pay them a portion of the supposed $62,000 a year that we're paying those prison owners to storage them. And we should have our groups that fight each other now and injure each other compete to create the most creative product and to create the most product of marijuana and other things for planting. And at the end of their session, they would get out and they would have a job, and it would be beneficial to everybody, and it would be a way not only of putting people to work outside to keep them from going to prison, but to get them out and for us to close down our incredibly expensive prisons and jails and courthouses that do nothing for our people except destroy them. And it would make the people that work in these fields have a happier way of existing as well. And they can profit so much more by growing marijuana and producing marijuana and marketing marijuana than they do in their jobs that they have now. Transporting the marijuana is another thing. We should pay people to create jobs. That's one field. We should pay people who live in the wilderness areas to produce food to not only restore the animal life to the prisons, but to help feed the animals that are already there, as well as to grow marijuana for whatever they want to do as produce of choice. In South Dakota, they have finally decided that they're going to cultivate enough cannabis to take over all of their lumber needs. Hallelujah. We should leave our poor, desperate trees alone. Lumber people can profit hugely by growing marijuana in their areas and not cutting any more trees. And Obama allowed them to cut trees in national forests, but we're not allowed to grow marijuana in national forests. A mushroomologist many, many years ago on K-Mud said that one way to heal all of the problems of the land caused by logging, Agent Orange, all of the gasoline, the toxic diesel, everything, was to grow marijuana with horse manure and mycelium. We should do that in the wineries. We should do it everywhere to heal our earth and our land. Using marijuana as parents for baby trees is essential. We should put many, many people to work during the season growing the marijuana, and then when the marijuana has been processed and put into huge amounts of money, we should have people working out there to help protect our baby trees during the bad seasons. That's a huge field. We should start saving the ocean from our coastline. We should try to attempt to clean the nuclear waste out of our ocean and in other areas around the world. We should repopulate the animal life in our oceans. We should clean out our military bases and put our poor, sad military to work restoring the earth and inhabitants, replacing kelp, which is a major producer of oxygen and clean air. We need to create naturopathic small clinics instead of sterile machine governed, expensive, huge, that are just destructive to land and to soul wasting hospitals. We should make it so that when we go into the hospital, the first thing that happens is we're not dealt with by machines. We are dealt with people. They should be very much more home-like because people respond better when they're in a home-like environment. And it actually would end up being more profitable for our people and our hospitals, our land, and everything if we could have really naturopathic human care. In 1975, Germany had a -3 population because women were happy with wages and benefits. A few years ago, because they had so few population to even take care of the funding for the people in 1975 who were needing the funding to survive, they got in touch with Spain And Spain, who has too many overeducated people with no jobs and no positions, were invited to Germany to help fill up the problem of non-population. So I suggest that we give well-paid jobs to everyone, and we can cut the population. I believe China is doing exactly that right now. One of the jobs that I believe we should do, and it's very, very serious, and most of the people who live in towns and cities do not realize it's a serious problem. But a major business for many more states than just ours is wild boar slaughtering, processing, and marketing. Wild boar is epidemic, destroying earth and food sources. We can plant and maintain baby trees and marijuana on the freshly rototilled land. Employment, not imprisonment. I belong to a group called the United Coalition, or International Parliament, that believes in proportional representation, which means that we would have people representing us no matter what our point of view was. It's a group that consists of people of all different parties, but with the same kind of beliefs. They have a website, it's the usparliament.org. Its message goes worldwide, and we need new members with good ideas who would help us heal our earth and send the message worldwide. And we are meeting April 21st and 22nd in Monterey to vote for people who should be, and we are gathering aluminum cans and aluminum goods as a way of sourcing our group. I hope that everybody will join us. I'm running for Supervisor, 3rd District, starting December the 28th. I'm going to try to be at Boomer's Bar and at Wheels Cafe on New Year's Eve to get my signatures to get on the ballot. I have a friend named Andy Caffrey who has run for office many times through Humboldt County. He is running for representative to Congress against Jared Huffman, and he is more than willing to support me and everything that I want to do, including government grants to help put people to work instead of into prison. And I have some product here that is my campaign logo, and this I did last year when I ran for U.S. Senate. And if anybody wants to help support me, I would appreciate donations for these donations and mailing costs. And if they can be sent to P.O. Box 104, Laytonville, California, 95454, in care of Pamela Elizondo, I would appreciate any of that. But more importantly, I would really appreciate your vote, and I would really appreciate your verbal support in telling everyone, let's stop global warming and the need for war and heal Mendocino County. Please vote for me for Supervisor, 3rd District, Mendocino County.